on the Bandrew Says podcast. This is my planet. Sorry about the wind. It's always like that, and it's why I love big fat foam windscreens. Big and fat. Holy smokes, it is really starting to blow out there. It's blowing really hard. That's what she said. Today on the Banished Says podcast, I am going to be discussing the idea of being addicted to optimization and other stuff too, so go ahead and stick around. Alright, I have been studying you humans for quite a while, and I adopted a new practice because of it, where you carry a sack on your back. You put stuff in the sack. When you get indoors, you open the sack, pull stuff out, and then people get the stuff that you take out, and they're very excited. And why do you wear red suits with white It's very strange. This is a bit of a disappointing sack. As I open my sack and pull stuff out, there's just a bottle of H2O, which is apparently very important for you humans, and then a red thing with white trim on it. So now that it is Christmas season officially, we can lose the sack, remove the headphones, remove the baseball cap, and adorn the Christmas garb, the seasonal garb, because I am a merryman, which is something else I learned about you humans while observing you. You call each other merrymen. I don't know why. Maybe somebody's pulling a prank on me. But hello, fellow merrymen. I am a merryman too. What am I talking about? This is certainly not the third time that I am trying to record this because video files get corrupted, audio stops recording. No, this is not the third time. This is just the first. Let's talk about becoming addicted to optimization. And yes, this is going to be a bit selfish. It is self-centered. It is based on my life, my experiences, but this is the Bandrew Says podcast. If you don't care what I have to say, you don't have to listen or watch. You have the freedom of choice, as Devo informed us, to do whatever you want. Freedom of choice is what you got. And now I'm copyright struck. I came to this realization over the last year and a half, really, where I will use the search for new and improved items as an excuse to avoid work. What I mean, I'll use content creation as the baseline because that's my main thing. I have outstanding equipment, great cameras, great lenses, great microphones, great boom arms, great interfaces, everything. Really top-notch, can give me professional quality. Now, what I could do is, when I have free time, I can make content. I can use the equipment that I have. I can write some music, record some music, write and record a podcast, test out some equipment, get a better understanding of it, really gain that insider knowledge about outboard preamps. But what do I do instead? I go ahead and jump on the internets. I go to YouTube. Very rarely, I'll go to Reddit. I'll go to everydaycarry.com. I'll go to any website I can and see, what's new? How will this new equipment improve my life? How will this improve my workflow? How will this make my life a little bit easier? And I'll spend hours doing that. And then I'll whine and complain and say, oh gosh, if only I had more time, I could make higher quality content. I do have more time. I am just wasting my time. And that realization was kind of a kick in the pants. Coming to the realization that you are just wasting time and your hard-earned money seeking out something that you do not need. And I think that is a little bit of an addiction. And it's not something that I just see in myself. It's something that is fairly pervasive in the tech arena, whether it be computers, whether it be everyday carry, whether it be video, whether it be audio. People are always looking at the new releases, hoping this new microphone, this new lens, this new motherboard or graphics card is going to solve all my problems. I will live the most productive life, and I will finally feel fulfilled. I will finally feel that warm and fuzzy feeling deep inside that tells me everything's going to be fine. I see that all the time. And I run a tech channel. I run a microphone review channel. I see that a lot in questions that I get from people. It's clear they are using the gear, the search for improved gear, the search for optimization as an excuse to get out of actually using what they have, to get out of the fear of actually making something. Because when you actually make something and you publish it and put it out there, now you're open to criticism. That's a scary thing. That's a scary proposition. So I understand completely why people would want to avoid that. Now, I may be being a bit uncharitable in that statement. I think there are plenty of people who aren't using it as a crutch, aren't using it as an excuse. They just have a deep love of equipment, of electronics, of technology, and they like understanding what's new, what kind of revolutions are happening, what kind of new technology is being rolled out. Wow, how does that work? That's amazing. So I don't want to lump everybody in there. But I am sharing what I have known about myself or come to know about myself. I will use the idea of optimization as an excuse to look for new gear, to spend money, to waste time, and to not actually do any work, anything of value. I will seek, I need a new pocket knife because the one that I have doesn't cut good enough. It's a piece of sharp metal, you dope. The pocket knife you have is more than sufficient. It will cut the tape on the Amazon boxes that you are opening. You don't need to spend $500 on a knife. Unless you have the disposable income and it brings you joy, do whatever you want. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I'm telling me how to live my life. Luckily, I haven't gone too deep down that rabbit hole. But the reason why I'm discussing this on the podcast is I realize there are other people out there who may not realize what they're doing yet. They may not realize that this constant search for improved equipment, this constant search for how to optimize your life. I need the newest iPhone because it has a camera that's 5% better. Is that really going to help you? Is that really going to make your content better? Is it really going to make your content appeal to a wider audience? I'm not saying don't buy the new iPhone. I am asking people or suggesting, I'm not asking anybody anything. That would be very presumptuous of me to expect anybody to give a damn what I think of them. I am suggesting. Be honest with yourself. Why are you really looking for that new equipment? Why are you really trying to optimize? Is it because there is a flaw in the equipment that you're using? Or is it because it brings you joy? Or is it because it's just I need it. I need to spend time researching. I need to buy it. I need more equipment. Just be honest. Sit down and think about it. Why do you buy that new graphics card every year? Why do you buy 500 pocket knives? Why do you buy 50 watches? Answer the question, Bandrew. Why do you buy all this stuff? Why do you constantly seek all this new equipment? I guess I am asking you questions. I don't care if you answer because I would never expect you to. These are just suggestions that I need to take to heart. I am talking to myself, and maybe somebody out there in the ether is hearing and saying, that's a really good point. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I am using that as an excuse. I'm going to go make that audiobook. I'm going to go ahead and record that YouTube video. I'm going to write that album that I've been meaning to write. What I've really been diving into recently is everyday carry equipment. When I do my year recap, I'll share my goals for the coming year, but one of the things I am going to do is I am not going to buy any new everyday carry items. No new wallets, no new pens, no new knives, no new keychains, none of that crap. I don't need it. I have plenty of great equipment, plenty of great tools that help me through my day. Buying something that is $50 more expensive to give me 5% of an improvement on one minor area that I use 3 times out of the year is not going to provide any market improvement on my life. It will be negligible. Just like buying an RE20 over a XM85. That may be a bad example because a lot of people will know that difference. For your audience, maybe not. Buying the XM8500, then up to the RE20 or the XM8500 to the SM7B, you may notice a difference. 99% of your audience will not. Something to think about. What am I even talking? I know I'm shooting myself in the foot as well, because most of the people who watch the majority of my videos are people who are seeking to optimize their production, to optimize their podcast, their recording studio, their album recording, whatever it may be. And if they hear this, when they hear this, they will say, oh, yeah, good point. I don't need to listen to your show anymore. I don't need to watch your reviews anymore. And I am fine with that, actually. If this rambling stops somebody from wasting money that they don't need to spend, I'm a happy camper. I think that will be an ultimate win. I have no allegiances to any of these companies. I don't get any benefit from people putting themselves in financial hardship. That makes me feel like garbage when people do that. When somebody watches one of my videos and buys something on credit, oh, buddy, boy, howdy, does that, I won't say ticks me off, but makes me concerned that somebody would do that. So if this video, this rambling, stops somebody from doing that, then I am a happy camper. So to conclude my thoughts on this addiction to optimizing your equipment, what could you better use that time and money towards? As far as time, go ahead and actually begin creating content. Make that album, make that podcast, make that YouTube video. And every single time you do that, you will actually improve your ability. And through growing your technical proficiency, you will become more efficient. Technical proficiency, efficient. You will become quicker at producing content. You will be able to produce higher quality content in terms of quality of video, quality of audio, and presentation style. So just from the time side of things, you can provide a much better experience for yourself and for your viewers and listeners by doing what you set out to do. From the money side of things, go live life. This is something I need to take advice about. Go live life. Go give more to charity. Go on a trip. Go visit people that you care about. Make new memories. Have some reason for living that's outside of 4 walls that are well treated in a room that sounds quite good for a spare bedroom. Do something other than that. There's a big wide world out there. And by going out and gathering new experiences and new memories and meeting new people and being exposed to new ideas, your life will become better. You will live a more fulfilling life. And once you have that more fulfilling life, when you go and start making content again, I think you'll be a better person for having done that. And now you can share those experiences and that new worldview with the people who listen and watch to you. Watch to you? What am I? I need to take English classes. I am an idiot. I'm rambling at this point. Let's go to the next section of the podcast. Otherwise, I will just talk for 500 million minutes on this and say the same thing 50 times. What have I been testing? Well, first thing we need to do is take a sip of water. We need a water break. Glug, glug, glug. That was very strange that it actually made a glug glug sound. I always thought that was a myth. Turns out it's actually a real thing. Don't know what anatomical area of my body is causing that sound. You have been listening to it. I have been on this kick trying to determine how much preamp noise actually matters. And I came to the realization it doesn't matter as much as I thought it did. A couple of weeks ago, I ran the SM7B directly into the Zoom PodTrack P4, which does not have great preamps. I wanted to go one step farther. I am running the Shure SM7B directly into the Universal Audio LA610 Mark II. What is that, you ask? It's an analog outboard preamp. It is a tube preamp. It is not a quiet preamp. I don't know the actual EIN of it. It's not a sterile negative 131 dBA. We're not getting that. It's probably equivalent or worse than something like the PodTrack P4. But I am doing...
Is there something else I can help with?
No. I don't know why my watch is talking to me. I am running directly into the LA610, gain plus 10 maxed out, level maxed out. I am then EQing it, which is adding more noise. I am boosting 1.5 dB at 7 kilohertz, and then I'm doing a 1.5 dB cut at 70 hertz. But wait, there's more. Then I am compressing it. I'm not compressing it heavily, but I am getting 3 to 6 dB on the VU meter in terms of gain reduction. And when I was running into the X8, which I'm not doing because I had some issues with recording on my computer, maybe it's time to finally upgrade. 6 years and running at this point. Almost 6 years and running. It's getting a little long in the legs. Is that the saying? It's getting a little long in the britches. I don't know. Some saying. But when I was running into the X8, I had my level set at 70, 75%. Now, I am doing an even worse thing. I am running line level out into mic level into the Zoom PodTrack P4. And my preamp on the Zoom is set at 20% to try to stop from clipping. And I don't have any sound pads going, do I? No, I don't. Okay. We're going to stop. I'm not going to start playing with the sound pads. I will use the applause as an edit break. Now I know, edit right there. The reason I am doing this is to really fine-tune or dive into where the threshold is. Where does the noise floor actually become an issue? Normally I do some form of denoise, whether it be a gate, whether it be voice denoise if it's really bad, whether it be any kind of spectral denoise, but I'm not going to do that today. I didn't do it when I had the P4, even though I have my heater going. It's freezing cold. I'm not going to die for you. I'm not going to die for this podcast. Understood? On the same page? We're good with that? Good. The heater's going to stay on. I am not going to do any kind of noise reduction, any kind of plosive reduction, any kind of gating. This is going to be raw, and you can tell me, oh, Bandrew, it's so noisy and hissy. I can't stand anything. You're the worst. I'll never listen to you again. You've betrayed our trust. Hey, if that's what you think, more power to you. I think you'll find it's perfectly listenable. Something that we may have an issue with, though, is mouth noises. Because I always, no matter what microphone, whenever I process for this podcast, I do RX mouth declick, and I will sometimes do debreath. I'm not doing it this episode. You'll understand why a little bit later, and that may actually be an issue. When I was trying to edit this podcast before, there were a few moments where I said, ooh, that's rough, and then I had to attenuate a little second of the audio by 16 dB, so it wasn't just an incredibly obnoxious and disgusting ASMR swallow. I know there are some people who are like, ooh, please, Bandrew, share that with us. I would love to hear an ASMR swallow. Ain't gonna happen, pal. Glug, glug, glug. I should turn that into a sound pad, and then whenever I take a sip of water, I can go ahead and engage the glug, glug, glug button. So that is what I have been testing. That was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Let's jump to what you had to say, and the first comment comes from Chris Gutierrez. He says, 1,000 years from now, there will be an infamous philosopher that everyone quotes. One of his famous quotes will be, I may not get famous, I may not get rich, but I am going to enjoy it. Chris, thank you very much for that comment, and thank you for pulling out that one little nugget of knowledge that I have dropped in there over the last month and a half of insane ramblings as I descend into madness. Because it has been nothing but stream of conscious, I'm having a blast, I'm doing whatever the heck I feel like, and you somehow distilled or captured or globbed onto one little thing that I said that had some value, you pulled it out, and I think that sounds really good. If anybody remembers me for having said that, if anybody learns from that saying, I will be a happy camper. I will be thrilled if somebody's life is improved by me screaming into the ether, screaming nonsensically into the sky, doing what I do. If somebody hears that and says, you know what? I'm not going to be concerned about the viewership. I'm not going to be concerned about subscribers or income from it. I am going to do this because I love it, and I'm not going to allow any of these external factors, any of these factors that are out of my control to impact my enjoyment of it. Because that is something that myself, for a while, fell trapped to, and I know a lot of other people fall trapped to. They'll start making YouTube videos and podcasts because they love it. And then when they start to get a taste of that growth, they'll get that. It's a really awesome. It's kind of like playing a live show. It's kind of different because being on stage in front of people playing is just a completely amazing and different experience. But it's kind of that same idea. You start to get that amazing feeling and you just want to get more of it. You need more of it. But just like with movie stars, just like with music groups, people's interests change. People lose interest in YouTube channels and podcasts, and they move on. So if you ever get this idea of, oh, I'm growing this much, I will continue to grow that much forevermore, and then it ceases to be true, whew, it'll hit you. It'll hit you hard. And once that happens, kind of takes the joy out of it. And you need to take a step back. This is what I had to do. I had to take a step back and reassess. Because I had a crazy year and a half, 2 years of just explosion. Because everybody was locked inside. They were all looking for this. And I was thinking, oh, wow, this is incredible. This will go on forever. And then I just ended up with, maybe it wasn't 2 years of growth, it was a year maybe. And then I've just had nothing but negative month after negative month, and that will take a toll on you once you have that idea, oh, this is going to go forever. So once I took a step back and realized, okay, well, that's not true. And once I reassessed and realized, why did I start doing this? Why did I start making YouTube videos? Why did I start podcasting? And remove that expectation and just refocus on what I actually enjoy doing, screaming at you on the internet, it brought the joy right back. And now I don't even log in to look at statistics on my YouTube channel because still there is a little bit of me, to be 100% upfront. If you go in and just see negative, it's still a kick in the pants. But if you don't log in and don't look at it and don't stare at it and don't sweat over it nonstop, it's fine. Who cares? You can only do so much to ensure that people remain interested in what you're doing. But if you love what you're doing and fewer people enjoy it, so what? You're still having a blast doing it. And I have to say, I have had a journey and a half. I have had a blast making videos for the last 7.5 years. Has it been that long? 7 years? 2015? 7 years. It's been an absolute blast. So if it did go away, would it stink? Maybe, probably, sure. Would it be the end of the world? No. I had so much fun. I learned so much. I have all these new skills, and I've met some amazing people. I don't know how we got here from that one quote, but if that quote can bring somebody joy and relight that fire in them to sound a little bit hokey, oh, just go find your fire, bro. Just go out, find your fire and love what you're doing, bro. If it can do that for somebody and allow them to enjoy what they're doing again, I will be a happy camper, and that would be an incredible thing to be remembered for, even if it's just by one person. So thank you very much, Chris, for pointing out that one nugget of truth and goodness in the last month and a half. I appreciate you. Next, we have a comment from Art the Boy. He says, "It's much more gangster to do something very hard despite being trash." Art, thank you very much for this comment, and thank you for confirming what I have always known. I am a true gangster. You can tell by the way I pronounce gangster. Because remember, when I die, F it, I want to go to hell. Because I am a piece of S, it ain't hard to effing tell. It don't make sense going to heaven with the goody-goodies. I like black Tims and black hoodies. They'd probably have me on some really strict S. No sleeping all day. No getting my D licked. That's one of the best hip-hop songs ever made, and in my opinion, the best Notorious B.I.G. song. Suicidal Thoughts. Go listen to it on his album Ready to Die. That's a good one. But yes, I am a gangster. I appreciate you recognizing the true OG. No offense to any actual OGs. I mean, no disrespect. But I am an OG. Confirmed by Art the Boy. If you don't like it, take it up with Art. Leave him a comment saying, "Yo, homies, this ain't an OG. This a clown." And I will accept it. All right, what am I talking about? Let's go to the next comment from Blue Ridge. He says, "Bandrew, check out the Whoop fitness tracker. It's a discrete wrist strap with no display that tracks fitness and sleep with much more granularity than the Apple Watch. Plus, it gets a week of battery life and has a unique charging method where you don't even have to remove the watch to charge." And a second comment from Catabolita. They say, "Hi, Bandrew. I think that based on your description, maybe for the purposes you are wearing a smartwatch, you'd better enjoy a fitness tracker or band." Blue Ridge and Catabolita, thank you very much for the comments and the recommendations. I have tried going down the route of wearing fitness trackers or fitness bands. Fitbit was one of them. I can't remember the other one. Garmin, maybe? Not a full Garmin watch, but it was just a strap that I wore. They tracked my fitness fine. They were great. They functioned. No sweat, no problem. There is one functionality that I need in the smartwatch fitness tracker that the trackers that I was using or trying did not have. When I go for walks, I like to listen to audio, whether it be podcasts, music, audiobooks, all of it. I love to listen to stuff while I am doing some form of exercise. It's not extenuating exercise. I know I'm not getting ripped, bro. Get off my case. I'm doing what works for me. Don't leave me advice in the comments about fitness. I don't care. I'm doing what I can do. But I listen to stuff. When I was wearing the fitness trackers, I would have to have my cell phone in my pocket connected to my AirPods listening to that. So I would have watch, fitness tracker on the other wrist, and then phone in my pocket. That got to be annoying. When you're walking a couple of miles, that gets to chafe your buttocks if you have it in your back pocket. So after a few months of that, because I did like the idea of not having the Apple Watch tracking me, listening to me, doing all of that. I realized, I'm going to try the Apple Watch one more time. I'm going to put the podcasts, the audiobooks, and the music on the Apple Watch. Then I will just have my wristwatch and the Apple Watch, connect my AirPods to the Apple Watch, and leave my phone at home. It was a revelation for me. And for about 6 months, I didn't wear the Apple Watch outside of when I go out and do exercise. The rest of the time, it was sitting on the charger. But when I started to really focus on trying to lose weight, I threw it on all the time. Still not a fan of it, but that's why I wear an Apple Watch as opposed to one of these other trackers. I would love if Apple came out with one of these watches, although it would still need a screen. It would still need a screen because I would want the audio functionality. I would want the audiobooks, the podcasts, all to automatically download. So I was thinking, what if Apple came out with something like the Whoop tracker? But then I realized it would just be like a Whoop tracker. I would still need to carry my phone. So I think I'm stuck with a smartwatch for the time being until I get so filthy gall-darn rich from all the shilling that I do on the YouTubes, where I get a mansion and I can get 50 treadmills, rowing machine, all of it, and just blast the podcasts, the audiobooks, the alkaline tree, the music from speakers in my amazing gymnasium, where I will be trained by Serena Williams, Joe Rogan. I don't know who's really athletic. Joe Rogan, he's very athletic, and he could feed me elk meat or something. I don't know. So thank you very much. Let's go to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Thank you again, Catapolita and Blue Ridge. Sorry to all the Italians. Welcome to the Ask Bandrew segment. If you have questions, go to askbandrew.com. And for you who have sent in questions, you can't hear it, but there's applause for you. It's amazing. You amaze me. You amaze everyone. Well done. You are a beautiful human being. AskBandrew.com. Send in audio, video, and text. I do prefer audio and video submissions. Sub 1 minute. Keeps the show going, but also gives you a break from me. You don't have to listen to me read, which is always a positive. And we get to hear how you sound on your equipment, which is always a joy. Let's go to the very first voice submission from Mildly. Take it away, Mildly.
Hi, Bandrew. I've been watching your videos on Podcastage for a number of years now, and recently began to watch and listen to this Bandrew Says podcast as well. I'm an aspiring content creator looking to start a podcast, and I was wondering if you could provide me with some advice. Right now, I'm using a Blue Yeti Nano USB mic, which comes with live EQ software with the Blue Voice app that I'm using right now to create the submission. Unfortunately, I live less than 6 meters away from one of the busiest train lines in Tokyo, but with the live noise reduction plugin that comes with the Blue Voice app, at least with my speakers and headphones, it seems to get more or less cut out completely, which is extremely convenient for me since it removes the need for me to try and run the noise reduction plugin in Audacity in post, which also doesn't seem to be quite as effective as the noise reduction function in the Blue Voice app. Here's an audio sample of the trains passing outside my window without the noise reduction running. Okay, the train is passing. That was without the denoiser. And here's one with the noise reduction. Okay, the train is passing right now. I don't know if this is audible. The train is passing. I think the change is quite drastic. I'd also like to note that this is just with the noise reduction. There is no noise gate engaged. And when the trains are running at peak frequency, I can get them passing by my window every 2 minutes or even 1 minute. So I've been wanting to upgrade my setup with an audio interface and a dynamic XLR mic, such as the Rode Procaster or the Shure SM7B, preferably something with darker qualities. But I'm concerned, since this will be a substantial financial investment made even more problematic by the awful exchange rates. And despite the quality of the mics themselves, I'm not sure if there are any suitable replacements for the live noise reduction functionality given by the Blue Voice app. and with the rampant train noise in the background, I fear that any gains in quality with the mic upgrade will be just completely wiped out. So my two questions are, number one, are there any free or affordable options available that will allow me to gain this kind of live noise reduction even with an XLR mic? And two, barring that, or in addition to that, are there any specific microphones or kinds of microphones that will be friendlier for use in my current environment? Or am I doomed to my current setup until I move to an environment more amenable to audio recording? Thanks for answering my question, if you choose to do so, and that's it.
Thank you very much for the voice submission. You have two questions. Are there any free software that offers this kind of live noise reduction capability? And two, are there any mics that would be more ideal for your environment? No, not that I'm aware of. And yes, but ignore my advice. Number one, I don't know of any software that allows for that real-time live noise reduction that is free. I'm not aware of it. If anybody does know, comments on YouTube, let us know what software that is. How do they get away with doing it? How do they get off? How dare you? Ask them that question. And mics that would be more ideal for a noisy environment. The Rode Procaster you mentioned, that does an incredible job with background noise rejection at around 180 degrees. So if you pointed that towards the train, that would be ideal. That would be an improvement. However, with that being said, I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear. You do not want to hear this. I'm assuming you do not want to hear this. Don't buy anything. Do not buy anything new. What you have demonstrated is with the tools you have, you are able to get very usable, very listenable, and high-quality audio. When you enabled, why was I unable to say that? When you enabled the noise reduction, I didn't hear the train, which in my opinion is quite impressive because it was very noticeable when you didn't have that engaged. The reason I'm pointing that out, you're trying to resolve a problem that you've already solved. The noise rejection that the Blue Voice software is doing didn't seem to be degrading your audio to any noticeable level, to any level where your audience would say, oh gosh, I can't listen to this. There's too little background noise. Oh, it's eating into his vocal frequencies. This is unacceptable. You don't need to. So I'm recommending you don't. You don't need to spend money on anything. On top of that, this analog gear, the SM7B, the Procaster, they don't come with any software plugins like the Blue Voice software. So you would need to invest not just in the microphone, but in an audio interface that has some form of DSP processing. And as of right now, there is the Focusrite Vocaster 2, which apparently does allow you to adjust the processing. They rolled out an update. I haven't tested that yet, but I don't think that has any kind of spectral denoise, which is what it sounds like the Blue Voice software is doing. You have the Lewitt Connect 6. Again, it doesn't have any kind of spectral denoise. It has an expander, but it's not a spectral denoise. I don't know of any free software that does that. So you would need to even with Universal Audio, they don't have spectral denoise. What you would have to do is likely get some form of interface. Maybe, I don't know if the Elgato Wave XLR, which I think they allow VST processing. I'm just working through this in real time. I think it allows for VST processing. And maybe you could get RX voice denoise and train it but then you would need to have the train going to train it of that noise profile. You would need some kind of gate as well. Yeah, it's going to be difficult to emulate that with other stuff. So my advice is don't do it. Don't buy new equipment while you are where you are. Because you already have the solution. It's already worked out. You're not asking me to do this. This is how I'm interpreting it. You're looking for advice on how to throw a wrench into a well-oiled machine because you have already gotten all the kinks worked out. And by buying a bunch of new equipment, you will have to resolve all those issues. You will have to find those solutions again with different tools. Don't do it. When you move, go forth, rock and roll when you have a quieter environment, but don't throw a wrench into the production just for the sake of throwing a wrench into the production. Don't do it. Then you ask, or you say you want a slightly darker tone. The Blue voice software has a little bit of an EQ, so do a high shelf cut. 1.5 dB, pull down a little bit of those higher frequencies, and you will be golden. All right, thank you very much, Mildly, for the voice emission. Appreciate you. Hopefully that helped and saved you a little bit of money. Then we have a text submission from Jessen. They say, "Hello, Bandrew. I am sorry for the text question. I'm having issues uploading my voice file. My question is, how do you reduce mouth noises from your recordings? Mainly that lip-smacking, disgusting ASMR sound and the sudden breath noise that you make after you laugh. Excuse me." As I lean away from the microphone to swallow. Phrasing, don't make that into anything. Stop it, you weirdos. Ideally, there's a simple and free solution to this, but I'd be willing to spend money to fix this issue. Also, for someone with a deep voice, would you go with the BP-40 or the Blue Sona? Can't wait to listen to more of the podcast. Always gets me through my boring day at work. Jessen, thank you very much for the submission, the question, and the kind words. Pardon me, while I take another water break. We'll go ahead and listen to that. Can you hear that resonance? That's wild. Okay, what do we have here? That's not going to work. It's amazing being applauded for drinking water. I have a number of suggestions for you, a number of tips. Number one, stay hydrated. That really does assist in reducing mouth noises. I will drink 3 bottles of water a day, and they're 32 ounces each. 64 to 96 ounces is what I drink in water every single day. That has other impacts on your life, biological impacts on your life. Think about that, but drinking a lot of water helps with that. I've also noticed when I am extremely hungry and start salivating, that will make stuff really a lot worse. So eat a few hours before you record, not directly before, but a few hours before, so you become satiated. You aren't just hankering for a ham sandwich, and you don't start salivating in the middle of recording. Third, just train yourself not to click. This sounds ridiculous, but there's a very specific type of clicking that I am talking about. Like, it's just this one thing where some people, just when they start talking, right before they start talking, they'll just click their tongue. I don't know why. I used to do this, and I realized I did it. I was repulsed by it, and I stopped doing it. And now it just makes my mouth start salivating. I don't know why. It's some kind of biological thing where your tongue's just flapping around and your mouth just starts watering. Very weird. Ugh. Repulsive. Train yourself not to do it. Edit your own show. You will learn to hate it and associate clicking your tongue as an extremely negative thing. As far as the sudden breath sound, I don't think there's anything wrong with breaths being picked up in a recording. When I do a deep breath plugin, I don't remove them completely. I attenuate them by 10 dB or so they're still in there. They're just not dominant. They are pulled back to be less distracting. The biggest thing that I would recommend here, though, is alter your cadence. I'm not saying don't speak like yourself. I am saying slow down. Because when I used to speak a lot, hey, I'm just really, I have all this information that I need to get out. And when you set that cadence that quickly, what you're doing is creating this expectation where there is no pause in the stream of information. There's no pause for you to take your time and take a breath. And when you take your time breathing in, there's no noise. If you're trying to cram in a full deep breath and in a fraction of a second, that's going to be very audible. But I just breathed in slowly for a second or two through my nose. Maybe there's a little slight whistle. Maybe I have a deviated septum. A deviated septum, yes. I don't know, but I can breathe and have it not be audible because I have set this cadence where it's expected and acceptable for there to be a little bit of a break. Now be careful, don't pause too long like I just did. That was awkward. I felt it. You felt it. You probably started to pick up your phone or look and say, wait, did the show just end there? You need... I'm having too much fun with this. You get the point there. Alter your cadence. Another thing, going back to the mouth click, as I alluded to earlier in the show, when I was editing an earlier recording of this show that ended up getting corrupted and just not working, there were a few moments where it's free, bring the fader down for a second while I was swallowing, and it was close to the microphone and disgusting, and that attenuated it for free and became undisgusting because it wasn't really audible. And the final thing I will say is we do have plugins that do this. I use Isotope because Isotope Mouth Declick does a really good job. I use that on every single podcast except for this one. I also use Isotope Voice Debreath or Debreather, and I attenuate them by about 10 dB because if there is no breaths, if there are no breaths in your recording, you're going to sound like a robot. A robot! I don't know if that's what you're going for, but if you are, remove all breaths from the recording. I don't recommend it. And the last thing that you have, between the BP-40 and the Blue Sona, which would I recommend for a deeper voice? I think for an extremely deep voice, probably the BP-40. I am not the biggest fan of the BP-40 or Audio-Technica broadcast dynamics in general because they are fairly mid-forward, more mid-forward than I am keen on. Come across a little bit nasally to my ears. I have two of them, but I know there are plenty of people who swear by the AT-BP-40. But for me, I would pick the Blue Sona because it's smoother. It's got a little bit of a low mid bump. It's got a hotter output because it has that inbuilt mic activator. But if you have a super deep voice, that low mid focus, that rolled off top end really probably is not going to be the best fit for you. It may come across a bit too muddy. It's bassier or more low mid heavy than something like the SM7B. So if the SM7B seems too dark for you, the Blue Sona will come across more that way. Not necessarily darker, but you get a little bit more bump in the low end. Makes it sound a bit darker. So probably the BP-40, but I think there would be better fits for a super bassy voice unless you love the sound of the BP-40. That's really what it comes down to. What do you like the sound of? You have to be the one who enjoys the sound quality that you're recording. That is all that I have for you today. I keep looking down because this recorder, the PodTrack P4, has had a few write errors, and this has been such an off day with the cameras, with the editing software, with the audio software, that I am just waiting for this to fail as well, and me to lose this entire recording. This isn't even going to go up until 9 p.m. Eastern, probably. because I have to re-record this so late in the day. But I do it for you. I do it for you. I do it all for you. I do it for me too. Why am I trying to become some kind of thespian? I don't know why I'm sharing this. Early on, whenever somebody said thespian, I thought they were saying lesbian. just a little bit of information for you. I always wanted to be a lesbian and be on stage as an actor. I don't know why I share this with you. It just goes to show how far you can come when you are so clearly an imbecile. You can go far in life, no matter your mental faculties. Case in point. That is all that I have for you today. I don't know if I will be doing an episode next week because that is on Christmas. I likely will be. Probably, but maybe not. If I can somehow find time to record it, I will. If I can't find time, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. I wish you a very happy Hanukkah, a happy holidays, a happy New Year. And I love you. I appreciate you so much for being with me. Oh my gosh, we're almost out of time. I appreciate you for being with me. I love you so much. Have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will most likely talk to you. If not, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. Talk to you then. Bye-bye. Whoa, whoa.